Hi there, I'm Stephen Durkin, CEO of AusIMM, and welcome to Leading Conversations, where as we have our conferences, currently Critical Minerals here in Perth, we're catching up with industry leaders to hear their perspective about our conferences, our organisation and the future of our industry. So a warm welcome to Chris Carr, Chair of the AusIMM Board, long-standing supporter of our industry and the Institute, and alongside the role of Chair of the Board, which will unpack President of AusIMM. So thank you, Chris, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to go way back in time, back to what got you into the industry in the first place. So way back when, the transition from school to mining engineering, what inspired that initial journey for you to kind of get your career kicking off into the mining industry?
I didn't actually know that I needed to be a mining engineer for a while. I didn't know what I wanted to do till about halfway through year 11. And I remember one Saturday morning, my sister reading out ads from the paper. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And no. And she read out an ad for a graduate mining engineer at Mount Isa Mines that paid $13,000 a year. And I was horrified. I don't want to do that. So she kept reading out. So that was Saturday morning. By Sunday night, I knew that's all I'd ever wanted to do. Someone had to plant that seed.
Yeah.
And I look back at how fascinated I was to any story about a mine.
Yeah.
And I just hadn't connected to, that's what it was.
Now, for those younger members out there, just explain how that model of an ad in the paper used to work, because not everyone will be familiar with that as a concept, but I remember it well.
We used to get the Saturday paper, and all the jobs were advertised in the employment section. We'd always get the paper on Saturday morning and read those. It's a bit like the paper version of Seek.
Yeah, I'll come back to that because it's a great example of how kind of times have changed through technology and how much times have changed. So, a couple of questions off the bat. You're a massive advocate for our industry. What is it that you love most about the mining industry?
I just find it's just a natural thing. I love anything to do with underground mining.
Yep.
I think my special talent is how to turn a resource in the ground into a bulk saleable product that we can all use. Everything we use is either grown or mined.
Yep.
And everything that's grown generally needs something that's mined to transform it into a product in order to get it to where we need to go.
Right.
And I just find that such an essential part of life that most people out there don't realise.
Right.
I'm also very passionate about doing it properly and being able to help people. And without mines, our society would be much poorer. We would literally be back in the Stone Age.
So for you, because a lot of people love the sense of adventure in the industry or the way that we work in teams, but for you, it's that tangible connection between the stuff we mine and the minerals that we deal with in our everyday life. You kind of like, for you, it's that connection that really gets you going around our industry. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's part of it. And then as we sort of age, and we all the jokes about us engineers being somewhere on the spectrum, and maybe it's a cloud now, but I have certainly come to realise some of those aspects, and we can explore that later on. But for me, I'm just naturally drawn to mining and all aspects of it,
things,
including the people. And the people is what I've really come to enjoy, working with people.
Yeah, I think
particularly in those small communities on mine sites.
Yeah,
and a lot of the towns that I've lived in.
Yeah. So let's explore that, because it's an industry where there is a real sense of adventure, and you've had a very adventurous career. Tell us about some of the career highlights from your point of view as they relate to some of the great and iconic cities that you've lived in or towns that you've lived in relating to our industry.
Well, my second area, I started at Windara. I started as a graduate. We learnt all the underground jobs, including I was trained as an air leg miner. So we'll go to the mining games later this week, and some of the things they're doing, I reckon I used to do for a living as a graduate 40 years ago. Wow. 40 years next year.
Wow.
I think Kalgoorlie were working in the timbering stopes before. Well, I was there when KCGM was formed and the super pit was getting going. And
5 years, I think, in Kalgoorlie. Is that right?
About 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
I really like Kalgoorlie. I like that town.
Beautiful.
And this is before FIFO. So.
Yep.
But then I found myself doing FIFO. I met my wife on a FIFO.
Yep.
We had 3 kids in 18 months.
Wow.
Don't try that at home.
No.
So we moved to Mount Isa, where I could live at home and watch the kids grow up.
Right.
And I had a really good run of lots of different roles there. We worked in the lead mine. I worked in what became the George Fisher mine. We then moved into ore handling. So I was able to run all this fixed plant that mining engineers don't really get to do.
Yep.
I learned so much about shafts and pumping systems and ventilation, refrigeration.
Yep.
And it made a lot of sense. I did my thesis on cooling hot mines, so it was really cool to see all this equipment because I knew what it was doing.
Yeah.
And then I moved into feasibility studies, and we were fortunate enough to have the Ernest Henry Underground study come our way. So I led the pre-feas and the feasibility study and the project director. You know, for us mining engineers to build a 6 million tonne a year underground mine, that's pretty rare.
Yeah.
And that was, really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And I think more recently, as general manager of the Nova operation, as we're getting that up to commercial production and running,
IGO,
I really enjoyed the people aspects. Having learnt a lot of things, I was able to put a lot of things into place, and did very much enjoy, how we got everyone to work together, and that was a special time.
And how long were you in Mount Isa for is one question.
Well, we lived there 19 years, although when Glencore took over, I was there under MIM, which then became Xstrata.
Yep.
And Xstrata Copper was one of the great corporate cultures I've worked in.
Yep.
Glencore came in, they had some different views of how to do things.
Yep.
So, it was a tough time sitting on my porch in the house I own, looked across the valley at the mine that I no longer belong to. There was some tough times there, but then, you take the view that you interact with life. Life doesn't happen to you. You go and find something else interesting to do, and you move on.
Just coming back to a point you just made, the Xstrata culture that you enjoyed so much, what was it about that culture from a leadership point of view that was made that such a great time in your career?
We'd call it a devolved responsibility, where they tried to push all decision making as far down as they could. So the Xstrata head office had less than 30 people in it.
Yep.
The business units, I was in the copper business unit, had 30, 40 people in the head office, and everything went out to the sites.
Yep.
So it's a trade-off between repeating things on different sites, but also giving people the freedom to do it the way they thought it needed to be done there and then. And that was a very enlivening and liberating, empowering culture. And it took us a while to adjust from the MIM ways of doing things. But after 3 or 4 years, if we said we would do something, we would move heaven and earth to do what we committed to doing, safely, sustainably. But you felt like you were the only mine in the company. And by then the company was about the 4th largest diversified miner in the world.
It's a great story. Would like to explore with you, given your outstanding career and 40 years from a technical point of view, observing a lot of changes, what are the biggest changes you've seen in that 40-year period from an industry perspective, Chris?
Oh, there are several. Safety has got to be the standout. Our commitment to environmental and governance is very, very different. The computerization of everything.
Technology.
But, the safety, for example, and I still get emotional with some of these stories, but, I had met someone at work who died at work for every year for the first 14 years in the industry. And we got in the 1990s and it stopped.
Wow.
In 1989, I think we lost 19 people in the state, 94 of them.
Wow.
We're not like that anymore. It took us a while to stop accepting the fatality should happen.
Yes.
I remember a fatality at Tuckabianna in 1992, or 1991, 92. Garnet Halliday was the general manager. Some people may still remember Garnet. He unfortunately passed away in a plane crash in Africa, of all things. But the next morning we were standing on the high wall. I saw Garnet. We walked up and he said, "I feared this would happen." And I said to him, "No, I've accepted what happened, just no matter how often." And he says, "No, you're right." So there we are, accepting the fatalities will happen.
Wow.
By the late 90s, we would not accept it. In fact, that for me was the watershed moment. When you stand over, a dead person, there's nothing you wouldn't do differently, but there's nothing you can do.
Right.
So, then the next one was having people seriously injured at work with life-altering injuries. And that's got to stop. Yeah. And then by sort of 2000, we've got to stop the lost time injuries. And now, we're at the point where, we can go months and months and months without anyone having any sort of, serious, any sort of disabling injury where they have a reasonable amount of discomfort.
Yeah. Yeah, that absolute commitment to safety is something that's an imperative for our industry, and something I think we should be really proud of when you kind of look at that from the point of view of a journey that we've been on over 30 or 40 years as an industry.
Well, I think when you've had your own kids, you look at life very differently. So, when you're younger, you're bulletproof, that sort of thing, that maturity thing that particularly gentlemen have to go through.
Yep.
But when you've got your own kids and you think, now they're going to go and join the workforce, and I want whoever is supervising my children to value them like I do.
Yeah.
Therefore, everyone at work is someone's child, brother, sister, mum and dad.
Yeah.
They all have special people, and people who care about them a lot. And in fact, trying to get people to understand that, you care about a lot of other people. Do you realise people care about you? So you've got a duty to look after yourself, but you've got a duty to look after everybody around you. And if they're doing something that's not quite right, you should feel comfortable to say to them, are you sure your loved ones will be comfortable with you doing that?
It's a nice way of thinking of it. It's sort of a different way of the saying about the standards that you walk past, just having a perspective to kind of understand that from a different viewpoint. I think it's really powerful.
I think, then you're really showing people that you value them.
Yeah. It's a really good principle. One of the other massive changes, of course, has been with respect to an area that you're very passionate about as well, technology, and the role of technology in terms of shaping the future of our industry. Where do you see our industry when it comes to automation, artificial intelligence, digitalisation? Where do you see us as an industry on that journey? Are we at the start of the journey? Are we kind of on the way? Where do you kind of see that, if you kind of look at that from a systems
If you go back to Rickola's day, technology has been changing, but as we know, the rate of acceleration is massive. You look at the autonomous fleets we have in open pits where we have GPS, and we go underground, we don't have that.
Right.
So underground is a far more challenging environment to put this stuff into place. But we're starting to see the autonomous machines. Perhaps Australia isn't always the most adventurous in uptake. I think the North Americans and the Europeans are probably a bit faster than us at doing that. But it's coming. It'll enable us to get people away from the hazard zones. If you think about underground mining in particular, it's a high hazard environment. There's a lot of gravity sources.
Yep.
We have compressed fluids, air, water, paste fills, hydraulics, power. Even just falling over into sharp rocks, there is a lot of energy that can get out of control and injure someone. So by being able to automate, we can actually remove people from that line of fire. It's an engineering control or elimination substitution.
Yeah, right. Wanted to change gear a little and explore your deep commitment to the industry, which I personally admire greatly. I think it's the essence of what it means to be a professional, putting the industry ahead of the company or ahead of the individual. You've had a long-standing connection through to AusIMM, both as a supporter through a range of committees, director, now chair of the board and president, as well as your time as chair when we first got to meet each other many years ago as the chair of the Board of Professional Engineers in Queensland. Where does that inspiration or motivation come from to have that level of commitment to what are volunteer roles, which is a massive contribution?
There's a couple of things about me that I like everything to be done well. If you're going to do something, it should be done properly.
Right.
And I like to be able to help people.
Right.
So by joining this organisation, we're able to do all the things that I've done. I can help others be better professionals. I can raise the standard. I can help influence the standards. I can give people education. We can learn from each other.
Yeah,
that's something I'm really passionate about. But I love the industry. It is in my blood.
Yep.
So anything I can do to give anyone a better experience in that, I think is a fantastic opportunity. We might call it giving back. I just find it's a natural thing to do.
Right. Do you think it's, for those that aren't aware, Chris, your grandfather was Sir George Fisher. Many will be familiar with George Fisher Mine just out of Mount Isa. So a kind of a deep family connection to the industry, including having quite a well-known cousin. I'll let you mention that if you want to. But you know, kind of, do you think it's a little bit, instead of said it's in your blood or it's in your DNA, do you think that's kind of a part of your personal story?
Oh, look, I think so. It was only when I told my mother, look, I'm going to do mining engineering. It's not like I think it's I'm going to do that. She said, well, you know, your grandfather's a mining engineer. I'm going, that never occurred to me.
Right.
So I almost feel like I am my grandfather 2 generations down.
Are we?
And it's just natural stuff. It's just natural.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to work at what was Hilton, and then George Fisher the whole thing became George Fisher Mine. And at one point when I was there, my uncle, Sir George's son, came for a visit, and I got to take him underground and show him the mine named after his father. That's one of the coolest things I've ever got to do.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And of course, my grandfather was president 3 times for 3 individual years back in the 60s. And it always been something that I would have liked the opportunity to do. Yep. It's not a right, it's an honour.
Yep. Yeah, it's a nice way to say it. Well, we appreciate, as an industry, not just an organisation, your commitment and the time you so willingly give to do this role as well as you do. For those that kind of aren't as familiar as you and I might be with kind of governance and kind of the operations and workings of a big joint like AusIMM, just tell us a bit about kind of what the role of the board entails and what it means, what the responsibility is that's associated with being chair of the board and president, kind of, and how that's a little bit different to the role of a director. Just sort of unpack that kind of governance set up for us a little, if you could.
So, you know, if you look at a normal public listed company, the shareholders elect a board. Yep. The board then employs the CEO. Yep. The CEO then employs everybody else, and you delegate down. Yep. It's a similar thing. The members elect the board. Yep. The board then elects a chair out of that board. Yep. We can do 2 years, 2 one-year terms, and then we all stand down. We can do up to 6 years on the board, and then we stand down. Yep. That gives that renewal and diversity. When we look at the role of the board, it's to oversee, it's to interpret what the members want, to scan the external environment, and to basically work with the leadership team. With most people in Melbourne, but we've got some people here in Perth, and in Brisbane,
Tassie down,
everywhere. And that shared leadership model that we talk about, it's quite common in normal companies where the C-suite and the board work together on strategy, and then when we've got the strategy right, then if we get the right structure to honour the strategy, and we look at culture, values, how do we work together? How does the board help the others to do their job while still being at a distance with the oversight?
I think sometimes people forget the simple concept that directors direct and the management or the chief executive executes. Pretty simple concept, but sometimes people kind of, get
well, as they say, the board should have their noses in, but their fingers out.
That's it.
And one of the biggest challenges for the directors, particularly those that aren't as experienced directors, is when to take your operational hat off, which is most people's day job, and when to be a director are 2 different things.
Real skill.
And that can often be quite a challenge for some of us.
Well, what I would say is that we're extremely fortunate at AusIMM that in all of my time in the role, we've had a board that's deeply committed, very experienced, lives and breathes AusIMM in our industry. And it's been an absolute delight to work with all of the directors and all the boards that I've worked with in my time at AusIMM. I'm going to throw a few AusIMM kind of concepts at you and just get a sentence reaction if I could. Professional development, why is that important in terms of the essence of being a professional?
Well, we all have to learn and get better because the industry is moving on. To use more than one sentence, when I first was engineering, we were literally using pen and paper. We've now gone to highly computerised models. If you don't what did I learn in the early 1980s that's relevant today?
Exactly.
The basics are, but it's changed so much.
Imagine if we were going to a doctor that hadn't done any professional development for 40 years since I went to uni, it'd be unacceptable. So it's the essence of being
imagine if you went to a doctor who didn't belong to an association where people assessed him as competent, current. So again, being part of the AusIMM gives us the opportunity to say, yes, I'm a member of a professional organisation, and I'm also a chartered professional, and that is the guarantee that my peers are checking on my professional development and my competence.
So it's professional development, which is our flagship offering. We're together building out courses, conferences, local technical talks, webinars, our digital library. It's the essence of keeping up to date with the latest practices. And CP, which you chaired the Chartered Professional Committee for many years, is the demonstration of that currency. Is that the way you see it, Chris?
Absolutely. It's the warranty by your peers.
Yes.
I know that not everyone probably sees it the same way, and we've had that conversation. But for me, I want to be known as best professional I can be, and that means I need to be chartered.
Yep. You're massively committed to building out our program of courses. For us as an organisation, we're deploying a process of delivering a lesser number of larger scale conferences. Here in Perth this week, Critical Minerals, Chris Carr is meeting, as well as the New Leaders Summit that I'll come back to in a moment. You've been a long-standing champion and member of the Underground Operators Committee. Just tell us a little bit about kind of the journey of that iconic conference. It is iconic now, isn't it? I mean, it's gone from being a big conference to being a flagship conference to being quite iconic, internationally recognised.
Like the people say, if you go to one thing, you go to Underground Operators.
Right. Yep.
I look back, the first time I got to Underground Operators was 98. We had about 220 people and maybe 3 or 4, maybe a dozen small booths.
Wow.
In those days, everything was
Where
done.
was it? That was
in Townsville.
Townsville, right,
And it was a lot of work because everything was done by paper. Like you typed your paper out and you posted it. And they would hand mark it up and post it back.
A fax if you were lucky.
Fax if you were lucky. That's only if you're running out of time.
Yes.
It was a lot of work by the local committees. They were standalone. They'd do the conference and then someone else would take it over.
Yes.
About 20 years ago, we moved into more the electronic age where we were able to develop a more enduring committee where people could actually learn the lessons and keep applying them. Yes. And I think that was probably a watershed.
Yep.
One of the things that we were particularly good at, and I think Adrian Pratt deserves a lot of kudos for the 2011 one, where we really honed in on the formula of what makes the right paper.
Yep.
And which papers really are suited to a different audience.
Yep.
And by having the pragmatic stuff. So
love it.
We talk about by industry, for industry, where our people take the time to record what they've learned and go and present it to people. But the recording is also a legacy for people to learn from afterwards.
Yeah. For high quality technical content that's internationally credible, often delivered by international experts, that's very practical or pragmatic, to use your word, I think is the key to us building out that content strategy. Which really brings me to Critical Minerals, the Critical Minerals Conference. We're on the afternoon tea break, so if you can hear the noise behind us, that's what that's all about. It's been a massive success, 650 people here at the conference this week. Really important topic, obviously, this kind of transition of our industry to critical minerals to support the energy transition. This moment in time where Australia can play this significant global role if we play our cards right. What are those cards that you think that as an industry we need to play right to play that prominent international or global role?
I think this is it's a complicated subject because there's about 30 something minerals on the list. And when you think about it, it's actually the metals and the chemical compounds is the need, and they're derived from the minerals. So we need to go and find those minerals in concentrations and settings that we can actually mine profitably.
Yes.
How do you then treat them? Because some of those treatment paths are quite complicated. As an industry, we're used to going as far as metal, whether it be gold bars or copper or steel. Now we're talking about almost pharmaceutical grade, high-end chemical engineering. It's almost a different industry.
Yeah, true.
And that's an industry that I don't think Australia does tremendously well at the moment. So how do we actually get that industry up and running for the, we talk about value adding, but there's also a lot of cost involved in it. So it's a very complicated thing.
Yep.
And I think each mineral has its own path.
Yeah. So high tech, innovation, automation, collaboration is part of the key to that, which brings me to a question around a new concept that we've launched this year in Brisbane, and we're bringing to Perth May next year, called GRX, the Global Resources Innovation Expo. Maybe share, for the benefit of our members, a little bit about kind of the background, the thinking, and what it is that we're trying to create here with GRX.
Well, I think it goes back to that by industry, for industry.
Yep.
So how do we get people to come together? And this time it includes all the met sector.
Yep.
And the one thing about the underground operators that has really grown it is that the people who want to exhibit want to talk to the sort of audience that goes to underground operators, and they want to listen to what the exhibitors have got. How can we create that in a much more holistic international setting?
Beautiful.
To really showcase Australian mining.
Yes.
But also to get the internationals to come here and showcase what they're doing. So
Yes.
if we can get thousands of people to come together.
Yep.
And a lot of the learning isn't necessarily what's in the technical program or the exhibition, it's the people you bump into and the war stories you trade.
Yeah. That sense of connection and belonging that's synonymous with our history, that AusIMM is a part of what we're trying to create, but also to showcase the innovation that we see as being very much about the future of our industry.
And the point about the collaboration, a lot of things we're doing is so complex now that no one company or group can have enough competence to do it on their own.
Or one country, maybe.
No, so we have to collaborate, or we're not going to succeed.
My final question or area to explore with you, Chris, is of all of the above, the thing that possibly you're most passionate about, and that's our future workforce. There is no topic that our members care more about than making sure we've got the talent coming through our industry in order to guide and shape a better future and put us on the world stage. And we've, of course, in Perth this week had our new Leaders Summit. You and I were at a function last night, and today, massive buzz in the room, a lot of energy. Just tell us a bit about kind of why that's so important and about the summit itself, if you could.
Well, I think, if I look back at how much I learnt from others when I was first out of university, even the university, we talk about drinking from the fire hose, it'll last for decades. To see this young group of people, and every year it's a new group of young people.
It's beautiful to see.
They are so passionate, so intelligent, so articulate. Compared to us at that age, we couldn't have looked like that. But then the expectations on them are far higher than they were with us as well. You've got the social media, you've got professionalism, you've got the technology. But if we can help them any way we can, I think that's a really special thing to do.
I think just building on your comment there, I mean, one of my reflections or observations, they're quite worldly, this bunch of young professionals. Certainly, I can think of my time coming out of uni and pretty naive, bit green, but I don't know if it's just me, but kind of they seem quite worldly, quite experienced, quite switched on, which I think is really exciting for the future of our industry.
It is. Perhaps we're looking at the cream of the crop. However, they are very, very impressive. I've had the opportunity to go and meet a few of the students. We've met some at the Hunter Valley, met some great guys in New Zealand, the locals here. And as I get to travel around as president, I hope to meet many more groups. They are so impressive. Their thoughts are so advanced compared to us at that age. And I like to think that we shaped some of it, but I think there's a lot of natural thought there.
Chris, it's a great honour to work as closely as I do with yourself and the board. One reflection out of the new Leaders Summit today is all of those young people are salt of the earth people. And I think that's an aspect or a cultural quality of our organisation that's sometimes not fully appreciated. All of our members are just salt of the earth people. They're great people, committed to the industry, achieving wonderful things inevitably. And I think it's a sense of connection and belonging that's really very much around your own personal values. And I wanted today to say thank you and acknowledge your wonderful contribution to the AusIMM, to this institute that's been around since 1893 that you've got a long-standing personal connection with. So from all of us, from our members, from the industry as a whole, congratulations and thank you for your dedication and commitment to our industry and organisation.
Well, thank you. But let me say, you get more out of it than you put into it.
That's a nice
You
way
can
to
see, if you can see how much I put into it, imagine just how much I've gotten out
Nice
of it.
way to say it.
I do not know how my career would have gone without the AusIMM.
Yeah, it is a great saying. You get out what you
Far
put in,
more than you put in.
which is a really nice way to end this conversation. So, Chris,
Right.
thank you, and to everyone out there, stay safe and take care.